Struggling with practice and learning consistency, I think what he means is developing consistency. Here's a story. One morning I woke up and realized this is a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm just gonna say it. One morning I woke up and realized I hadn't exercised in like 7 years. Okay? I was 26, 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere in there. I hadn't really exercised more than like 1 or 2 days in a row, for real. It was alarming. Around the same time, oh my God, I went to CVS with my partner at the time. We were joking around, let's check our blood pressure. And then my blood pressure was high. And I was like, what the fuck? Homegirl takes her blood pressure, she's fine. I'm like, what the fuck? I take my blood pressure, it says high again. A change needed to be made, and I needed to develop, in the spirit of the question, I needed to develop consistency with regards to my exercise. Now, I used to be very athletic when I was a kid. Somehow, I used to be very consistent with this thing. I played basketball every day of my life from the time I was like 4 until I was 18. And then I went to college and just stopped cold for a number of reasons. I just 100% was having a challenging transition in my life, dealing with anxiety for the first time, and just honestly just wasn't feeling good, you know? And then I had all this anxiety about it. Like I mentioned earlier, I mentioned how I used to hate going to the gym. Just the whole thing scared me. I felt like people were gonna notice that I wasn't in shape. It was weird. I had all these like different anxieties, right? But I needed to develop consistency. And oftentimes developing consistency is, at least for me, dealing with some sort of anxiety and like trying to like pinpoint where it's coming from and then like trying to come up with a mental process to get around it. Now, what's funny is I'd been teaching piano for years at this point, and something I was always telling my students was start small. Just start small. Like practicing is not about putting in 6 hours or 8 hours a day. If it's one fucking day out of the week or month, which is what a lot of students honestly do, especially like music school students. They sit down, like, I'm gonna do 4 hours, I'm gonna do 5 hours, I'm gonna do 6 hours, and then like day 2 or 3 comes around, they're just like, they quit. Because what ends up happening is you try to do 6 hours, you've never done that before, so then like you're an hour and a half in, you're like, God damn, I'm tired, I'm bored, I'm frustrated, and then you rage quit, and then like now you're walking back from the practice room feeling like a failure. I'll never be able to do that. I'll never be able to do 6 hours. Oh, holy shit! I only got to made like 25% of the way there. I mean, if you have those feelings, what are the odds you're gonna come back on day 2? And that's where you're starting. No. You gotta start small. It's like what I often ask my students is like, okay, over under. What would be the amount of time that you could practice to where you could put 100 days in a row? Like, what if that was the metric you're going for? Like, I remember I was doing this with one of my students, and he was like, oh, I could do an hour and a half. I'm like, wait, no, what are you talking about? I was like, you've never done that before. Why would you start there? Doesn't even make any sense. But that's what we're doing. We don't know how to start practicing sometimes. Sometimes we have this warped reality of like, oh yeah, I can do an hour and a half for 100 days in a row. It's like, have you ever done it before? No. Well, then why would you pick that number? What about 5 minutes? Like Dominique says here in the chat, never underestimate the power of practicing 5 minutes a day. Yes, correct. 99% of the time, you always end up practicing for longer. Yes. Happens every time. Here I am preaching about, oh, start small, and I'm not taking my own advice with regards to my physical health. Like, I have high blood pressure. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like 25 with high blood pressure. It was alarming. And I realized that the way I had to fix this was the same way that I talk to my students all the time, which is like, I gotta start small. I'm not gonna start with 5 miles on day 1 because that's what I was doing all those years. All those years I was approaching exercise with like this athlete mentality that I used to have when I was a kid, which is like run 5 miles, and if you can't do it, you're a, insert toxic masculine word there, right? Then what would happen is I try to run 5 miles, I poop out after half a mile, and I'm walking home and I'm sore, my muscles are tight, my lungs are burning, I'm like lightheaded, like holy shit. And then I'm like, God damn, I only did like 10% of what I set out to do. I'm a loser. I'm out of shape. I'll never be able to do it. Oh God. Okay. That's why I wasn't exercising, because then day 2 would never come with that approach. This time around, I was going to take an extremely radical approach to this. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be so disciplined. I'm going to set the expectation extremely low with regards to the daily output, but I'm going to set the expectation extremely high with the long-term consistency component. I'm going to do 100 days in a row, but I'm going to be so disciplined, meaning I'm not going to go above what the goal is. Like, I'm only going to do what I set out to do. And I'm going to let the energy, the excess energy of feeling like I can do more, I'm going to let that roll over to tomorrow. So what I did was, day 1, bought some running shoes, bought some shorts, didn't even go out. I just got the tools. I'm creating an identity for myself that I do this. That's day one, which, by the way, that might be the best thing I can give you today, in my opinion. Make it your identity, like whatever you want to do. If you want to be a good mixing engineer, make it your identity. Write something and put it on the wall, whatever. Create some physical, visual reminder that you do this. I didn't wait till tomorrow to do it. I was like, this is the goal for the day. Okay, day two, and this is the chapter of the book that I have yet to write, and I won't write. But this is a good heading for a chapter if a book was ever to be written. I won't write a book. Okay, take a walk with running shoes on. That's what I should call this whole thing. So I would put on the shoes, and for a week, dude, for a week. And I love, like, this would be embarrassing at the time. Like, at the time, I would be embarrassed to tell people what my exercise regimen was. So I put the shoes on and I walk around the block, and that's it. And for a week, I was so disciplined, I did not go above that. Because now my attitude is starting to shift. Now my attitude goes from, holy fuck, I'm a loser, I can't do this, I can't, I'll never be in shape. From that to, oh, I can do more. I can, okay. I'll see you tomorrow. I can do more. Okay, I did a week of that. Week 2, I'm jogging for 1 minute. And then week 3, I think it was 2 minutes, then 5, whatever. And then my consistency, what happened is I had an identity shift from I will never be able to do this to I do this. And at a certain point, then it wasn't even a thought. Oh, 3 p.m., put my shoes on, let's go. It became that. And yeah, and then by 6 months later, I was running like 25 miles a week, which for me, someone who's not a long distance runner by any stretch of the imagination, that's not how my body is designed. That's pretty f***ing amazing, you know, and to run 6-7 miles on Sundays, which I was doing at the time. Oh, my mom's calling me. Let's answer. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Kiefer.
Hey, I'm actually teaching a piano class right now, and you're on speaker.
Okay, well, does that mean that we can go ahead and start talking?
Well, actually, I can I call you back in like an hour or two?
It's no big deal. That'd be great.
Okay, love you, Mom.
Okay, I love you too.
Okay, bye. Shout out my mom, is a very nice lady. Okay, so what was I saying? If you're trying to develop consistency, then that's the metric. Then develop consistency. It doesn't say developing consistency with like a daily Herculean effort. That would be a different goal. I don't know how to do that. Well, I guess the answer would be the same. There's all these different parameters, right? There's how much you could do every day. There's how many days in a row. There's the level of complexity if we're talking about like practice. There's how many topics you're practicing. Are you practicing 10 different things or one thing? Consider all the variables that are complicating you trying to get to your goal, and just simplify all the variables except for the one that really matters. Like if you're trying to develop consistency, simplify everything else. 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. Only practicing 1 or 2 things, not 10 things. Holy shit. I just ranted for so long. From Morgan in the chat. I do this versus I will never be able to do this. Yeah, dude. Oh man. You know, as I talk about this, I want to make something really clear. Like, I am by no means an expert or a master on any of this stuff. I'm just telling my personal experience, and life is hard, dude. Life is hard. I don't think I'm blowing anyone away with that, but you know, we got to come up with strategies to do things, and we got to think about how our brains work and what our psychology is, and knowing that we're all different. We all have like different things. Like I definitely have to do a lot of psychological maneuvering with me. You know, I definitely know my anxious mind can be really powerful and detrimental at times, and I need to like learn how to, you know. And, you know, not always successful, but, you know, you show up every day and you try your best and you just see what happens. You know what's funny? If you write the key to writing good chord, Jesus Christ, Kiefer.